Welcome back to the Creative Process Podcast with myself, Jared Klein. Today, obviously, we have another guest on today. We have Rob on. We'll get into Rob a little bit here. But first off, I just want to extend some thanks to the viewers that come out week in and week out. Thank you for listening. I hope you're getting everything that we intend to be delivering to the viewers informationally, and whatever you get out of the podcast. It's fantastic to hear feedback week in and week out from the listeners. But Rob, thank you for coming on today, taking time out of your busy schedule and wanting to sit down with someone you've never talked in person with before.
No, something different for me. It's been a while, so it's nice.
For sure. Well, yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself to people that may not know who you are, and then we can get into what we kind of want to talk about today.
Keep it short and sweet. It's the best way to go about it. So, yeah, my name is Rob. I am from a place called England, if you don't know it. I'm 28. I'm primarily a thumbnail designer, but I've been doing graphic design in the YouTube space for the last, probably 11, 12 years. But it's like graphic design as a whole, I've been doing it since 2008. But like the 2 years of that was just like babbling around in Photoshop. But as a job, I'd say probably like 2011. So it's a good while now.
Yeah, really.
I'm old.
Really good while. I think, let's see, that would be 12 years, right? I'm around there too, like design-wise. I'm 24. I think I started when I was 13, 12. So
yeah, if I go back, back in the day, you probably know some names and stuff that I mentioned. So we can talk about that in a bit.
Yeah. But yeah, so obviously you are in the thumbnail space avidly, right? Avidly.
Yeah.
Earlier we had, I don't know if you listened to Ben's episode.
Yeah.
But obviously we had Ben on. For the people that didn't listen to Ben's episode, go back, listen to it. I forgot what number it is, but it was an awesome episode. He has some awesome insight.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously let's kind of get into it. When did you start getting into like thumbnail design and like consideration for designing for audience on YouTube?
So it was I can remember it because I was looking back at it actually. It was 2016. Before then, I was mainly doing YouTube banners for people.
Okay.
And that's how I got a lot of my clientele, was from YouTube banners. And it just got really stale at one point. I was like, no one's needed them because, to be honest, in the UK scene, I was doing so many for people. Everyone I wanted to do a banner for, I've already done it for, so I was like, what am I meant to do? And then I saw, I think at the time it was like FIFA, so that was like the big thing in the UK community, because you had like the side men, you had KSI, that sort of thing, doing FIFA, so everyone sort of hopped onto that. So I was like, is that something I could do? Is that thumbnails? And then my friend at the time, he's like, do you want to just try it out for me? I was like, yeah, sure. So I tried it, and I've got the file somewhere, so what I could do, I can send them over to you and you can put it on screen. It's so bad. Oh my god, it's awful. It's really bad, but it's nice to look back on. So it's got a good fond memories.
Right.
So it just came from there. I wasn't doing it as much because at the time it was like my hobby. It wasn't really a job. Because I was doing bartending at the time. That was my main source of income. So it was just stuff I did, when I got home or before I went to work, sort of thing. I think it was about. Must have been 2018. I moved out. I was doing photography, and I moved out to Greece. I was there for a couple of months doing photography, and I had so much free time after I was editing the photos. I asked my friends, like, asked another friend of mine, "Do you need any thumbnails?" Because I knew, and he was like, "I'll pay you this amount of much money a month," and it stemmed from it. It just completely blew up. Just so many people were coming my way. I've been doing it since 2011, so I had a big, I had a lot of contacts because I was going to like gaming events, I was going to like just different events in general, and just making so many contacts. So when everything started blowing up, I was like, right, I've got all this stuff in my portfolio. Let me just start reaching out to people, and it's just gone up from there, and that's where I am now. That's where it's all stemmed from.
I mean, just looking at your client list. And like the creators that you've worked with, like on your website, I mean, obviously a lot of big names, pop up in there. I mean, within the football scene, I mean, you have F2, you have Ben Foster, Chris MD, crazy people like that. And then also within the gaming scene, actually Can you?
It's a lot of football.
Yeah, I was gonna say there. I thought I saw some gaming names on there, but then I looked down the list and I'm like, actually, I mean, Tommy Innit is like, he started in Minecraft.
Tommy Innit's
right?
the main one. You got
Did he
like
start in
Ellen
Minecraft
as well. He does a lot of streaming with like the Sidemen, like Remington and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Morgs was a bit of a gamer at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, everyone knows who Morgs is if you know. Randolph as well. I would say that's sort of gaming. It's that sort of community of people.
Do you do his Pokemon ones?
I used to. It's been a while since I worked for Randolph.
Okay.
It's been a hot minute. We still speak. We always speak and stuff and chat and see how everyone's doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'll start doing work for him, and then it would get so busy. I just don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to fit new people in now.
Mm-hmm.
But the main ones on there I work for now, you got Ben Foster. That's my main client right now. That's who I'm doing the most work for.
Mm-hmm.
And you got like Fogden's on there. You got Ellis Platten, you know, footballer.
Away Days.
Yeah,
right?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. What's just on there? I've got the list up myself, so I know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget. But yeah, I think there was an F2 as well. So they're the main ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the others are like over time. I've just sort of they're the names worth putting up that
Mm-hmm.
people know.
Right. For reference for the audience, just go down to below in the description. You'll be able to see Rob's links down there. So we were just referencing his website, for instance. I'll say a little plug at the end probably, but just since we're referencing it right now in the middle of this, I thought might as well, give him a little shout out. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like your client list is, some well-known names. I'm curious on how the process went from, were you talking directly with the creator? Were you talking through a middleman? In that whole like creative process, no pun intended, from start to finish of a thumbnail, how did things kind of start? Did it vary creator? Did you have more creative freedom or?
I think for the majority, it was a lot of creative freedom on my end.
Okay.
With Ben Foster, for example, at the beginning, it used to be me and him talking, but because he wasn't really directly doing YouTube stuff, I just talked to this guy called Jamie, who's his like producer and stuff. So that's how I do the finals with him.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone else, it's always been direct. Away Days is a very good example. I'll use Ellis as a good example because the way that started was I reached out to him. I found his content randomly. I started messaging him saying, I love your videos, but I don't think your thumbnails are that great. I was quite blunt. I was like, your thumbnails aren't that great. I want to help out. And then where was that? And that was pandemic. It was just when pandemic started. And then we've been working together since. Really, we're quite good friends, actually, I'd say now. So that is what I try to get with a client, is I want to try and be good friends because I hate professionalism. I hate that sort of, like I'm a robot. I hate it.
Right.
I want to try and be on good terms with this person. I want to be a friend. I don't want to be.
Yeah, that's.
I don't see it as a job. I still want to see it as a hobby.
More of like a personal
seeing it
connection.
as a job. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see it because I know it happened before. I start seeing it so much as a job. I was a robot. I was just doing this stuff every day, and I got bored and I went back to bartending. This was only like a year or two ago. I just got so bored, and then I was getting bored of my bartender. I was like, I'm going to try this again, but with a different direction. And so far, it's been amazing in the last year, and it's actually been doing so much better than I was before, just because I've treated it as a hobby. Well, I know it's a job. I know pretty well it's a job, but that's how I'm going across it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think that's just a like from a freelancing perspective, it's like developing a relationship more than like treating them as like a number or something like that. You
exactly.
know?
Yeah.
It's like you obviously like you're looking for work. Everyone knows you're like, you wouldn't be contacting them if you wouldn't have like, okay. I'll use like the way you reached out to Ellis, right? You're reaching out to him. I mean, you think you can help him improve his product of his thumbnail. I mean, obviously you're reaching out because one, you want to possibly inquire about getting him as a client. But like, yes, you want to get him as a client, but also you have to establish a relationship and become, you have to be able to connect to a person that you're working with to be able to have that good working relationship. I think that's a part of freelance that may be overlooked a little bit. It's like, yes, you want to get clients, but
I have another good example, actually, a really good example. It's not actually on my list because they don't really upload on YouTube much. There's a guy called Alex who goes by Mars Bar. He's been in the community for years.
Oh yeah.
Since like 2013, I think. I came across him 2014. He funny enough, he uploaded a speed art of like his YouTube and he did his own. I commented, I was like, stick to your setup videos, mate, 'cause this isn't very good. And I was really horrible. And he uploaded and then he was like, he did like this video. It was like, oh, if you're a fan of my channel, comment and I'll look at your channel, sort of thing. And so I commented, and I was like, have a look at my channel. And then we are best mates now. We've been best mates for since then. He was like one of my best men at my wedding and all this, just from reaching out to him. Mm-hmm. And it started as like a sort of a like professional sort of work relationship. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now he was my best man at my wedding a few months ago.
Yeah, it's interesting to see.
I don't want to always like stem from to be my best, like
right.
my wedding sort of thing. But that's just where it stemmed from. That's that's what I like with all my clients. Mm-hmm. I can just go out and call them and say, all right, mate, do you want to go for a pint or something? That's what I want to aim for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think now it's becoming a little bit more, more of like a consideration for freelance designers, because maybe it's like competitiveness within the scene has gotten a lot more, there's just a lot more designers looking for freelance work, and there's also a lot more content creators, so there's a lot more like, you kind of get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So like the emphasis of client relations and, the relationship that you're developing with the people that you're working with is becoming a little bit more important.
Just so no one else can steal my clients. Sort of thing.
Right. Right. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how long I've been following you. Jeez, Rob. I've been following you for a while. I don't know how long though, but seeing like when you post your work now, just like seeing the work that you produce for your clients, I see it, everywhere now, like the same. I don't want to say like the same style.
Someone said that to me recently, actually.
I have
a friend of mine. He messaged me. He's like, "Oh, I've just seen your work on YouTube." He doesn't he's not in the community at all. He just sort of browses like YouTube. He's like, "I know that style. I know that's you." Mm-hmm. Which is what I actually aim for in my work. I want to have that sort of work, which, I can... Someone looks at, oh, no, it's Rob's work. Mm-hmm. That's why I am. Even my dad does it. My dad was like, oh, did you do this? And I was like, yeah. Which is brilliant. I feel that's amazing.
That is, that's sweet. So I guess, like, jumping into that process, right? When you're personally designing, what do you consider, like, from the client, I guess? I mean, where do you start when it comes from that?
No, I'm very basic. Now, I know a lot of like thumbnails now, so like CTR, that sort of all the statistics. I don't at all. I have no idea, which I think makes me stand out a little bit more, just because I don't look too much into like that sort of stuff because it bores me. I see like all the stats and stuff people are on Twitter. It just doesn't interest me.
But would you think you have to consider it a bit?
The client usually does, but they don't give me all the details. And rarely I've had them like, okay, this is what works well for my channel, that sort of stuff. They have a lot of trust in me. Mm-hmm. A lot of the stuff is like, I'll just let you work because you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And I've never, this sounds really big-headed, but I've never had, in the last 6 months, I've never had anyone come back to me and said, your thumbnail's done bad. I've never had it, unless I'm just ignoring it, but it's never come up. But honestly, it's never come up. I don't know if they're trying to be nice or what, but I don't know. Maybe a good thing. Maybe later down the line, if I have some free time, I might look into it a bit more. Maybe it might improve my thumbnails. But I've never been in a situation where I've had to do so many alterations to a thumbnail just to make it work, or like scrap it. I'm usually like, they'll send me Ben. Because Ben's my main client, I'll go through that process. So, Jamie will send me, okay, this is the video. Take screenshots from the video. I put it in, is it Remini? I think that's what's called. Remini. Which enhances the face.
Oh, I've never heard of
Remini. That. So it like enhances it. So you can take a really like pixelated photo, put it through, and it like makes it HD.
Oh shit! Really?
It's really good. I think it's Remini. I think I may be pronouncing that wrong. Remini. think that's it. I think that's how. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And it's fantastic. I've been using my thumbnails for about.
Is it free?
Wow, I used to do it for my phone because your phone is free if you like watch an app. You have to watch do it for an app, not an app, like an ad. Sorry, but you have to pay like a certain amount, like a month and stuff. I personally think it's worth it because I use it every day for thumbnails. But I know a lot of thumbnail guys use it from what I can gather. Just so you can tell when it's been gone through it. So I usually put it through it. Sometimes I don't need to because sometimes the videos I have a close up of Ben, which is good enough. I could just use that.
And really in thumbnails, does it really have to be super high quality? Like do your images have to be super HD or?
It depends on the thumbnail. To be honest, with a lot of Ben's, it's like he's not like posing as such. It's like I'm just grabbing it from the video, so I don't usually do it with that. But it's like he does like a football film, which is like an overview of the week of football. Sometimes I use it for that, depending. Obviously, if there's any issues with the photo, I'll put it through that. But I'm not using it as much, to be honest, because most people just got high enough quality now. Most people are posing in good quality. Sometimes I do it with Ellis's just because there's like a really bad bit of lighting on his face and it takes away the detail, so I'll do it that way. But yeah, like go back to Ben. He will send me the video. I'll grab the assets from the video, and I'll just put it all together. And they're just really happy. I'm really simple in this. I don't do too much. I'm literally just, it's like a collage at school. I just put everything into it, and usually it works. Like a video we did for Ben. It was a recent vlog. It's not today's. It was out on Saturday, I think, Friday. We went into a bit of detail with that because we want to make it perfect. So we tried something a bit different, and it hit 3 million views. And this is most viewed video, I think, within the last year.
Oh shit!
So that did really, really well. But it was that
because, I think was that his Wrexham his save against Notts County?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
that one had some leverage. Let's go. Let's be honest.
It was a bit. Yeah, it was. But he was a couple of uploads before. It was this big return to football, and then the one before that, he did a video with Chris MD and Toby. That hit 1 million from the thumbnail. We did that about a month ago in advance. He had it all recorded and stuff. That was a really good thumbnail. That was a bit more of a creative one because usually it's just Ben in the middle and then 2 things on the side. That's usually Ben's thumbnails. But with the one with Chris and Toby, it was a bit more creative process, which I don't get to do that because I'm doing so much football. There's usually a process with football thumbnails. It's just the same sort of stuff. But just that's what I'm trying to get out of football a bit now, just because I'm so bored of the same. It's just the same. But I enjoy it. Lucky I'm a football fan, so I can still enjoy it in a way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, like you mentioned a little bit, like consistency with a thumbnail look, like I guess when it comes to an audience, a creator's audience, is that considered or is it mainly just what's in the video?
I think I try and keep some sort of uniform look to each channel. Ellis is a good example. So it's usually like the split, and I'll have one thing on one side, Ellis on the right, sort of thing. Ben, it varies. But usually like the match day vlogs is usually the same thing. It'll be Ben in the middle, and then one thing on one side. Maybe you put Ben on. They all keep. I'm just looking for my work now, and for each channel, it's usually you could tell that's for that channel. It's not like a one-off video. That makes sense. Like I'm trying to keep it with the rest of the content.
Right.
Because I hate this. Well, going back to YouTube banners, I used to do those. I think each channel should have a uniform look. I think having I've seen some channels like have a random banner and then each thumbnail is completely different. Like they've got a different designer for each video, which to me I don't know why. I don't know if that's a statistic thing or not. I don't know. But they have some channels going to get so many views, like millions per video, and each thumbnail is completely different. Like it must work clearly because they're getting the views.
Yeah.
But to me, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look right to me.
I feel like that may be just depending on the channel's content, Like I know like there's a lot of channels that develop super informative content, and it's more of like a small, like a mini documentary type of content. And
Yeah.
I mean, every thumbnail is different, but it's just super dependent on the type of content, to where if you have like Ben Foster, right, he's producing, his match day vlogs, right? He's producing football videos. He's producing, that overview, the football overview of like the weekend or whatever. So like there's consistent types of content coming out, to where you can keep a more consistent thumbnail look, to where, if you have those channels that are producing different content every single video about a different subject, then you're going to have a little bit of a differentiation. But
yeah, definitely.
yeah, I think it's just dependent on the creator that you're working with.
I think I'm quite lucky because everyone's quite consistent with their thumbnails.
Yeah.
I might get one client come up and it's like, we need something different every single time.
Yeah, right. So I
That'll
guess
be a bit out of my comfort zone then, which might actually be a good thing, to be honest.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, maybe that's something you should dive into, is like a completely different type.
Which is one thing. Which is, I know what it is. It's American, like the American side of things. Because most of my clients, if not all of them, are from the UK. But I've just personally, I've had a lot of bad experiences in the past with American YouTubers. But this is going back years, so it might be completely different now. I've just never dived into them at all, really. So it might be something I might dabble in at some point.
Yeah.
But no one's really stuck out to me like, I might reach out to them, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's plenty of like American YouTubers that like do FIFA and do stuff like that. But I don't really follow. Me personally, I don't even follow many American YouTubers that do football.
So I don't really watch many YouTubers in general, to be honest. I don't really watch many of my clients. It's just I watch LS because I usually watch the content I see as my friends. I watch Ben's because Ben used to be one of my idols growing up as a kid because I wanted to be a goalkeeper early on in my childhood.
He was at United when he was younger, right?
He was, yeah. That's where I found him from.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to watch him back then, and obviously, I watched his career up to like, oh God, I can't remember. I watched it for a good while, and then I sort of stopped getting out of football again. Then I got back in. But in man, I think everyone does at some time. I'm not YouTube anymore.
Sorry, we went in and out just a little bit there, and now
okay.
You're back. But yeah, it's okay though. It's okay.
That's all right.
It maybe gives a good thing. We can kind of pivot here. So the question that really is asked when it comes to designing a thumbnail is, what makes a good thumbnail? Like, is there really, like, do you think there's like a method to it, or do you think there's like it's just like a stroke of luck and then they use the thumbnail on a video that went viral as an example? Or like,
I used to think it was luck. I used to say to a lot of people, "Oh, you've just got lucky," but I think just once I've put so much effort into thumbnail design now.
Mm-hmm.
There is. I think Mr. Beast is a good example. His they go hand in hand with Mr. Beast being such a good creator for content.
Yeah, that's
and also his thumbnails. I think you need to have some balance there. But I think Mr. Beast is. If anyone wants to get into thumbnail design, look at Mr. Beast's channel. I think a lot of thumbnail designers do now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really watch Mr. Beast's content. Like I said before, I don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it. Clearly, it's good because
mm-hmm.
he wouldn't be getting the views.
Right.
But the thumbnails are. I think for the majority of them, they're pretty much perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the perfect thumbnail.
Yeah.
Big. But the face, I think faces is the big thing. I try and tell clients. I've had clients before, like they don't include sort of either their face or someone's face, because there's in most videos you can. I think there's never a YouTube video you can't put a face in of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
I think the client asked, they wanted like a chat GPI thing. It's like we asked AI to do something. Mm-hmm. I said you need a robot's face or some sort of humanoid face, because you're always attracted to it. You're speaking to people all the time. You're drawn to a face.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we compared. This was about a couple of months ago. We compared to without a face and with a face, and the one with a face worked better. Mm-hmm. That's when I sort of look into statistics. Just and it worked. It worked really well. So I always try and include a face.
I think that's just the natural like human instinct of like relating to someone, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you want to find the connect between content and, you know, between content creator and content consumer.
Yeah. Colors, obviously your main primary colors, that always works. I've never really had a system in terms of like what works and what doesn't. It depends client wise. Like I said, I don't really look into the sort of statistics. So I wouldn't really know. But I think it's is it Jay Alto? I think I'm maybe butchering his name. He's like a statistic guy, and Twitter he does a lot of like deep dives into thumbnails and explains what goes into them, sort of thing.
Name doesn't come to mind.
Let me just quickly check. Let me just go to Twitter. I'll maybe get his name wrong.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of someone that.
Yeah, Jay Alto.
Okay.
So he's like a statistics guy on Twitter. So he goes into like thumbnail stuff. I browse his stuff sometimes, just to see what's going at the moment, what's popping at the moment with thumbnails and stuff.
Right.
And to be honest, nothing's really changed. Really, in the last year, I think everything's sort of kept the same. It's just better.
Yeah, I'm currently experimenting with how I want thumbnails to look for like this for a podcast.
Yeah.
And like I was finding like I don't really have the like on YouTube the audience to like compare okay what thumbnail does better to where, you know, because mainly with the podcast that is this small, it's like completely dependent on a guest that you have on that really brings in the viewership. So it's like, you know, like I mean with a podcast, I guess that comes to mind like Pitch Side, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit more of an audience because of Theo and Reeves. So it's like there's a natural audience there to where there's a little bit more, you know, there's a little bit more data to use.
I think their thumbnails are brilliant, by the way. I think they're amazing. They're really eye-catching. They draw you in.
So like there's a lot of inspiration I'm taking from, and now like I started out with the faces, right? I started out with my face and the guest's face, but then it was like I kind of wanted to think about how to go along the lines of promoting, you know, what the podcast was about. So like the last handful of thumbnails have been like, I think I started with the one with Kyle Van Cleve about running a design studio, and I basically just like themed the thumbnail around, you know, what I think, you know, the cliche look of like a desk setup, you know, those type of things. And then Content Creator 1, and then the one was the latest one that I posted with Jordan Lang, you know, different type of style. And then the one with Crew that's going out is completely different as well. So like kind of experimenting, seeing how things kind of go.
Yeah.
So like I'm strongly considering going back to like the face, including faces, especially with like a mic in it. I think like to have to be able to like if a viewer's watching or if a viewer's scrolling, they know okay this is a podcast. But then it's like if it is a small channel, right? If it is a small channel and you want people to click, maybe having something in, because not a lot of people if they're just scrolling through YouTube are going to click on a podcast, right?
Of course, yeah.
So it's like I don't, you know, finding that happy medium of clickability to where, you know, viewer intrigue and also, you know, those type of things are considering. Maybe we'll have a conversation.
Yeah, it's very
about
tricky,
after,
especially like I think when I was doing my podcast, that was something we were thinking about. It's like how are we going to bring more viewers in, and what we just stuck with the whole because it's very the podcast is very personal in some sense. So we just stuck with that, having our faces, including the guest on, that sort of thing. One did really well because of it was a YouTuber called Callum Markey. I think he had those occasionally, but at the time he was doing quite well, so we brought in a lot of viewers from that, and a lot of them subscribed. But then afterwards, it just dipped. It went straight down. So yeah, it's very tricky when you're a small podcast. Obviously, when you're quite established, and I think you can get away with pretty much anything.
Right. Yeah, that's where it's like to where like if you're a content creator, like it's super dependent on the content that you are producing, right? And then the thumbnail kind of aids in that because it's a visual experience. It's a piece of like 10, 15, maybe 20-minute long piece of content that's easily consumable to where if you're making a podcast, it's like how can I pull in more viewers to where it's not super dependent on the the guests that you're having on. It's a very tricky type of way to consider things, to where like it's crazy to where like Jordan Lang's podcast.
Yeah.
It's probably the most viewed podcast that I've had in a while, like on Anchor, like through Spotify and Apple Podcast stats, and on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
And it was like just a big spike, just completely dependent on the guest.
Yeah.
To where, let's say the one that I post with Crew, let's say that one gets like half, just simply because of just nothing against Crew, but like maybe Jordan had more followers than him on Twitter, that type of thing,
It really depends.
So
yeah.
it's like,
it goes with any podcast, whether you're so small or really big, it really depends.
Yeah.
I think True Geordie, who's you might have.
Yep, I know who True Geordie is. Yeah.
So some of his podcasts get like barely any views, then like you have the massive one. It's crazy how it works. But I don't think there's any podcast I know apart from like Joe Rogan. That's always consistent from what I've noticed in terms of viewerships, and that's what I can tell. But any other podcast I've seen, it always dips depending on the view of the guest.
Mm-hmm. I think that's just the nature of the type of content. People are gonna want to listen to, like, there's not the percentage of people that are gonna want to listen to someone new compared to someone that they already know of.
Yeah.
Is drastically different. Like I'm even part of that percentage. I'm like, if I see a Joe Rogan podcast and he has someone on that I have never heard of, I'm probably not going to listen to the podcast. That's just the nature of it. Especially with like something super open ended like Joe Rogan's podcast. Like they may talk about interesting stuff, but like something like this podcast is a little bit more informative in some aspects. Like we're talking about like content creation and graphic design and that type. So there's a main topic, but sometimes the conversation goes astray. Like now we're talking about podcasts. So but it's in that essence, it's a little bit easier because your audience your audience is more direct. So you can design and create content for a more direct audience, to where with a podcast like Joe Rogan's, it's like he's talking about everything. But granted, he's had the podcast for like 10 years, so he's kind of established himself. Yeah, I don't know. On a podcast, it's a very popular way of creating content now.
Yeah, everyone's got a podcast.
I'm thankful for it, because there's so many different types of podcasts to listen to and so much information to take in. But it's, as a smaller podcast, it's so tough to be able to be like, listen to my podcast. Okay, why?
It's very tricky, yeah.
But
very tricky.
That's the battle.
I think it's just a case of just keep going and see where it takes. If you're still enjoying it, just keep doing it.
Oh yeah,
that's all that matters.
It's fantastic. I love doing this. It's
you've done 3 seasons, so yeah, you must be very much enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a good time. I love it. Yeah, we kind of went off topic there, and I kind of
a little bit, yeah.
I kind of want to end with one question. Well, not really a question, but one type of topic ish. Mainly about like feedback loop. When you're working with a client, is it like I'm sure like we all have those instances where it's one take and that's it. Your first concept gets approved, but when you're working with this bigger clients, feedback loop, like when you produce a concept and they don't, like the first version, kind of how does that kind of go on? You can be very broad about your whole experience, but
well, it actually happened today on some content with Ben. Actually, I'm not gonna go. I don't think the video is going out, so I can't go too much in depth.
Right.
But it's not really any sort of content I've done before, so we're trying to it was something completely new. So I was trying to make sure it was perfect. We had 5 different times just to get it right. And it's the first time in a while I'd be like, they're asking for changes. This is new, and I liked it. I really enjoyed it. And actually, the first content, I look back at the first time we did it, and it wasn't very good. I don't blame them. But I look back on the final one, it was amazing. I've had clients before where they're like, which is why I've tried to avoid American YouTubers, because in the past I've been like, okay, this is fun now, and they'll be like, really, I don't know, it's just Americans.
You can generalize, it's okay.
But it's but just blunt in terms of, oh, okay, I don't like it, I want this. Okay, fine. So let's do it again. No, I want this little bit. They've been really detailed in how they changed it. I might have just had a really bad day or something for someone.
Right. It could have just been a bad.
But then I've never had
one-off
the issue
experience.
anyone in the UK. It's been quite okay. Can we just change this, please? And that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's usually I've never had a bad experience, like really really bad experience. Or like, okay, just give up, just stop, don't do any more.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I know some people will charge like different, obviously depending on how many times you need to change your thumbnail, they'll charge for that.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't stand by that. I don't really agree with that. Just I will. That's included in the price. That's what you pay for a thumbnail for. You pay for a thumbnail which you want to use on your channel,
Mm-hmm.
and I will work with you until that is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I try and I think that's why I've got a good relationship with a lot of clients. Is I will work with you. I'll work with you for hours. I'll work with you for days just to make that thumbnail perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helps. I think if I was like, I got to the sixth time, someone's asked for a change, like, I can't bother to do this anymore. Just give this to someone else. I would lose a lot of clientele from that. So I'm willing just to get. Sometimes I'm like, it's okay, this is brilliant. They'll enjoy it. And I'll ask them, are you sure? Are you sure that's perfect? And then they'll come back for changes. I think some clients sometimes are like too scared in a way to ask for changes. And then they have to go. I think I actually had this not long ago. Someone didn't want to ask for a change. They put the thumbnail up. Then 2 seconds later, or like two, or something like that, they changed it to someone else's thumbnail. And I messaged him, like, "Why did you change it?" He's like, "Oh, I just didn't like it." So why didn't you tell me? He's like, "I didn't know you. I didn't know if you had the time or anything like that." I was like, "Well, no, I would have been fine with it. You paid for a thumbnail. You're not paying for a bad thumbnail. You're paying for the thumbnail you want. I'm willing to work with you
Right.
till that is done."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested in like it's like the openness for creators to communicate with the designers, right? It's more of a we're doing this together rather than like we as designers want to work with you to be able to produce the best product that you are paying us to do,
Of course.
And it's like, yeah, you may have those one-off clients that are just like, fuck it, we'll take this one, we'll take this one, whatever. But then, like your experience, you're getting clients to where you're working with them really well, and you're starting to figure out, this is how things go.
Yeah.
This is, those type of things. So
I think that's why a lot of the people I work for is like, okay, they'll ask me for something, and I was like, here you go, and they love it.
Yeah.
It's a good. It saves me time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not working hours.
Mm-hmm.
I think most thumbnails for me at the moment probably take about an hour each, maybe. Like the thumbnails we're doing today for Ben, they probably took about 2 to 3 hours just to really make sure they were good.
Mm-hmm.
They're really good.
Is your feedback? I guess you may have already answered this, but is your feedback mainly from creator?
Yeah.
Mainly directly from the creator.
I've had it a couple of times actually, with like I may have got like on a football thumbnail. I've had like I got a badge wrong or something like that, and the creator came back to me and was like, "Oh, I've just got a comment that you got the badge wrong," and I'll look back and say, "Oh my god, I did," so I'll change it, and then
we'll just switch
it's
it
weird. I think we did that for Ogden. We did that it was like a Morocco video, and it was he's got a massive Moroccan fan base, so I don't understand why. But I got like a badge wrong.
He went to one of their it like just drastically just started all of a sudden because he went to what was it? They just had like it was one of his like more recent Moroccan videos.
It was one of the club games. I lose tracks. He's always going there.
Yeah.
And one of the Moroccan fans was like, "Oh, you got a badge wrong," and within like an hour of me changing that badge, the views spiked and ended up getting like nearly 1 million views. And apparently it was going really slow, and then we changed the badge and it just spiked.
Holy shit.
But he's got a really strong Moroccan fan base. It's crazy. He was showing me like some of the messages he gets and all this. A lot of his Instagram messages are from Moroccan fans.
That's interesting.
He's like, but I think he's like one of the only creators, like UK wise, that actually shows interest.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. His content is very interesting. Definitely super. I love his dad. His dad.
Yeah, his dad's great.
His dad sometimes just makes the videos.
Yeah. I
It's
think
so
he
fun.
came from he started. He was a funny guy because he started like very professional. To us, I didn't really want to work with him. He was like, I needed money at the time, so I was like, okay, I'll work with you. But then we're quite good friends now. He bought me a football shirt for my birthday and all this. And he's always treating me like last Easter. He got me like I think he got me an Easter egg or something, and all this and that, which I never really had from a client, to be honest. So it's been a really good relationship with him.
Awesome.
I know he's a lot like not a lot. I know it's like a mixed bag. Some people will love him. Some people just really don't like him. I've had people like local people, like friends of mine, say, "Oh, why are you working with him for? He's not even that good."
It's like
Just
he's a
because
good
it's
dude,
all.
man.
But he is really nice. He's lovely. He's really, really nice. But I can get why some people don't like him. I totally get it. I know personally a lot of designers. I'm not gonna name any, but I know a lot of designers don't like him. There was a whole big fucking drama thing about it. And I looked into it. I was like, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't see an issue. Now I've never had that problem with him at all.
Yeah.
But there have been like issues with money and stuff like that and pay. I was like, he never had the issue with me. So clearly, I don't know if they're doing something wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like maybe they should have put more emphasis on developing a relationship and having a friend. You know.
that's yeah. I think just have a friend.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a friend.
Well, man, I mean, I appreciate you coming on today.
Sorry.
I think I mean, we since Ben's episode, I really haven't had anyone on here to talk about thumbnails, and I think that's just a topic around content creation, and since they're becoming more popular for designers to get into, I think that's just a topic that's going to continue to be beneficial. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge and your expertise with the audience today. So yeah, I really appreciate that.
No problem.
So for the viewers, again, I'll mention this. Go down below, check out all of Rob's links. I know his Twitter and his website will be down there. So go down below, connect with him, look at his work. You know, he produces awesome work. He's working with these people, with these amazing clients for a reason. So go down below, check out his work. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, rest of your week, rest of your month, whenever you are listening to this. And as always, make sure you tell someone that you love them. All right, we will take it easy. See you in episode 42.